So here we're back. I had it actually to pull back an old model actually and redo again because I lost it the part of visuality between the two sides. Now I'm gonna have to start over again in debug things. So I thought this is gonna be a good exercise actually for someone interested to understand a bit how is things working, to look at debugging first before diving in because sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's easy, depending how we define the issue is. So what I'm gonna be doing, I need actually to depict if it's reading the file for me. So what I'll do, I'll clean this and clean the history, and I'll go. As I said to you, it actually can be used even in the browser because I'm sitting both sides, software and browser, but using the same logic. So we're gonna load, you can use it within the cloud. Actually, you can load the engines. Now, if you bear with me one sec, just gonna go download. I do have test in here. So I already added a cancel log. Okay, it got me the serializer as a text, which is nice, meaning that I have the functions. They are called, although they are not the all function that I need. So serializer is missing a few things. So bear with me. I'm just gonna update it with the actual one for Go, which is this one over here, which is longer than this context that we have seen here. So let me retry again. Serializer. And what I'll do is open with VS Code. As you can see with me, they are not actually matching. This is the actual correct serializer. Now, what I can do, I can either add types here, but what I'll do, because I have a config.ts which I'm calling inside here, I'm just gonna move the types from here, copy and add it inside here. So I can have each program type within the configuration itself, but it's still gonna actually call them in the other side, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna add them here so I can avoid errors. Then let me define what are the types I'll be using so I can reduce and only keep the ones that I need. Let me just remove some of those because I cannot hover. Swap, sorry. Scroll. Okay, this type is being called in here. What is the second type? Statement render. Go statement render, which I'll go configuration. And the last one, if I'm not wrong, is synthetic. Okay, so I'm gonna move this one on the top here. Let me just put that first statement, which is on the top here. So let me put this on the top next to it, so I don't need to go too much deep looking. don't need function, and I don't need the rest. So I'm just gonna wrap everything. So I'm just gonna click Alt and it will actually open and reclose everything for me. So I don't have to reclose again and open. So the last one would be Coven. Coven, which will contain a geo statement and a geo property, which we're gonna need. And what else? Let me double check. So yes. So I don't want to keep everything. I just want to keep the ones that I'll be needing. So, and if I actually go down to here, delete, it should be fine till here because those are the three that we need from our configuration. As you can see, error is gone now. Now, what I'm gonna need to see is where is the file located at? And then we're gonna have to work a way to get the package location. So this is our file. So I can say write, actually write the file, text, no slice. It doesn't give me the path over here. Let me double check where actually the config. So config have been tried, content config as okay. So if I want to write the file, I can write it by adding FFC, but it's already actually writing the files in the cache. So I'm just gonna need to pick it from the cache itself. If you can give me just one sec, hand on profile, wait, pick file, find case, okay, top. It's actually put in record content as a string, which is content, our content. Okay. I can set a variable and state it over there, but it's not actually the way it's gonna be. But we have over here handle pending has a serializer, which is a serializer, and then there's actually just a check point map. So this is our map. It's gonna map content, and then start with package engine, lowercase, otherwise NF. Okay. Then target key result. So let me double check. How did I pull it up last time? I think I put the file picker over here. Resolve, input, file, accept, change, resolve, file, resolve, unload, render, and input click. So this is the pick of here, pick folder, one click, resolve, target file, input, okay. Where I'm loading the packages, I'm looking of save and file. I think it's a workstation trim. This is the nude models update functions. This is the update key for the nude models reader inside the codes that we're writing. Also this one also for the coven nude and action toggled. Okay, add global. Okay, storage key is the studio engine.v. Okay, and studio active key is current active. Let me see now. Okay, so here we're saving to the cache the engines. Okay, and we're saving them as language. Okay, that's good. Let me just look at, okay, as language. Serializer with the, I can save it as a string, J string, and then break it down as a serializer. Let me just double check what's the best approach would be actually. If I'm gonna do this, I would actually have to define those functions inside here. For example, prime, translator standard, translator alias, format code, and serialize new to go, serialize statement, press news. Sorry, this is wrong. And press and function, and that's it. So now I can get to the types. I have few functions, but I still gonna need to add more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write a type or export interface, actually not a type. We're gonna call this one serializer. Serializer functions or just serializer types. And because if you write if you write a type instead of interface, you would put equal and then this sign. But since we are writing an interface, you're just gonna put this sign straightforward. That's the difference between calling a type, as you can see over here, and calling an interface. They are both good to define libraries, like I'm doing right now. I'm defining a type library for this type precisely, which is gonna be the functions themselves. No. So I'm not gonna suggest to do the same way. I'm gonna suggest to do actually add more, but I'll be adding later on. So I'm just gonna create the structure first, and then I'll add the elements. So my advice, never put functions as void. If they're gonna be passing props or parameters, make sure that they have. If you are unsure certain that these functions and you may have more functions, what you can do is add a sign, question sign. If this is existing, then we want to use it. Otherwise, it will still give you an error when you're defining this type. It will actually require you to add this function if it doesn't have that sign. So at the moment, because this file is just not yet going to be uploaded, and the file may not actually be existing in the first time, so to avoid getting those errors, I'm gonna add it and define it as either a void or either undefined. And this is the good thing about TypeScript, where actually you can define everything other than not defining it and crashing your code. So it's not gonna allow any prop to pass if it's not matching. That's the logic of TypeScript reinforcement. Well, in Java, you cannot actually, you don't need actually to define the type interface. You're not required unless you build in a model in JS where actually you can add a few things. Or a class actually, where you can actually define props of the class on the top. Assigning, but you're not going to be assigning a type like this, but if they're object, you will be assigning a type object. If they're string, you will start it by a string, but not typing a string like this, but an actual string like in typing to quotation mark in whatever the start, or a null value or a false if it's a boolean. So now that we got this defined, I'm gonna have, this is gonna be a bit boring, but it's better to do it actually. So I'm just gonna close this, and to do this fast, I'll be actually taking whatever they're gonna be returning, so I do know what is the return and what is not. So we will start by looking for functions. For example, this one, and instead of adding return void, I'll be saying it should be returned in a statement. Again, over here we have another function which is press line. I think it's the same. Oh no, this is a bit different. Yep. So, okay, I may have actually put this one into the wrong place. So just gonna fix it now. This one is just taking a line, not ID, and one is taking an ID. Both are returning string. This is taking lines as an object, and this is taking it as a single with its ID. So, again, we're gonna look at the other functions. So I do have the same props passed. So press generate. So I'm just gonna put it like this. It's gonna ask me what is a new type. Oh yeah, because actually you should, it's gonna be returning that type. So instead of the two dots, you're just gonna put equal sign and the arrow. As for this one, it's just S, which is gonna be a string. So again, on the top here, type root, and then it's gonna be returning a string. And file also, and it should be taking two props and returning a string. Nearly done. Format also will be taking code, returning a string. And now we still have translate, which would be taking syntax map, which is and as for actually this is not the correct server that I'm using. Let me double check one thing. Just remember that I may actually not be using the correct engine, the correct serializer. Let me double check. Let me double check this one over here if it's the correct one for that. We just add the function and the type and the variable and the constant and the package header. Okay, let's swap back. New type package. So we're still gonna need to fix few things. So this serializer is not the correct one. Bear with me one sec. So I do have one here. Since I'm gonna need to upload again this serializer, huh? Delete this one, upload again. Let me start by uploading. Let me double check where is this file located at. So I'll make sure that I'm uploading from this folder, not actually wrong folder. So it is test2, which is this one here. So let's upload again. Load, apply. Okay, we got our serializer file, which is like this import context from .ttp. Now I'm gonna clean all this. I'll do it like this, and I'll start package name. I'll swap back. I got the package over here in main, which is good. I'll start function name and let's close the function by tagging C. Now, so I'm gonna put format. See, okay, format is working, and main is there. So main, it's being considered, but not considered as a part of the package. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check my settings, double check that is actually picking that serializer. So do we have a package? Catch, default, go, import, package. Okay, let's go to config architecture and let's look for our function, which would be into the logic syntax. Sorry, we should be seeing package here, which is this one over here. Now package is correct, key is here, so we're gonna go to the logic of the package. So we're gonna look for package, not in this one, newts, function header. Okay, package and package name. Now here it added a name where actually we can type the name. So package and package name. Keyword static and keyword identifier need model. Can add a port. Port number would be this. Keyword would be static keyword. Keep as default. Let's select down over here. We're gonna need to modify the static keyword. Just give me 1 sec. I'll be doing that in a few minutes. Just need to remember how did I put the compiler to be hidden packages. Because you give it, let me see. I can put it as prime return type class. We put it as a prime, but it will give us the type of list popper identifier. Now we can put it as prime returns or returns, func return. So I can put the func return, and let me just make sure that it's gonna be so this is structuring the first, what is the first element, which is a var keyword. It's defined as ID of keyword over here. And then what is the second element would be a name identifier and a node model. And then there is a type over here, which is a var type. Now I can do var type, which would be actually more better, but I'm looking like to get where it's functions, where I can get a prop list of functions. Since I built a lot of keys, not only one, about the same structure, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm going by the same structure. Okay, return function, which is correct. A proper list, no, it should be. Let me see now, maybe it's gonna be light and green because I added the key word onto that. Nope. So it's just the serializer. We're gonna be fixing that in a few minutes. Now, before looking at this issue now, let me first focus on this one over here. It's the file because we need to make sure it's not actually reading this one over here, but it's reading our file. So let me. So this is the correct serializer. I'll be editing it later on. Now I created the types, and now I'm gonna need to put here a serializer function, or I can put serializer, which is gonna be serializer type. Now those are the keyword default method. I'll be removing this because it should not actually be taking them from here. So local cache dot set storage key dot station dot load. Okay, fault engine. Let me just so I'm gonna be saving to cache serializer first. So what I'm gonna do, because I don't want to put things on top of things, so I'm gonna keep the same folder, but I'm just gonna restructure my cache. So I do have access to that folder. So we're gonna keep the same location, but we're just gonna add a folder and call it serializer. And on loading, we're gonna also load the cache from the serializer instead of loading the cache from there. And we're gonna get a few errors we're gonna have to handle because we're gonna be turning from define object and define object. So It's not gonna be a big deal, but we're gonna do our best to make sure it's gonna be working. So we put serializer, set item. Let me just see local storage. Local storage, which would be set get item. So it's a local storage function which actually allow us to get key, remove key, stand key. So I can save items based on their key, which is a nice thing. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna create storage key for store engine v1. Okay, and then the store key for I'll repeat the same for the active key to get the same active serializer file. Now it's just like I'm gonna be duplicating few functions to get the same functionality as we get in with the engine, and that would be it. So I don't have actually to modify the model, but I'm just gonna have to modify the files that I'll be uploading to the model. Now we're gonna be adding last active engine, which would be this one. We're gonna be adding the same use effect. Or what I can do is load engine. So I would actually do is instead of me doing a function like this, which is gonna be running over and over, constant load station would be equal to, I'm not passing nothing, but we just gonna open this and just paste this one here, but before for then we pass this one. Here I just want to say something first. We're gonna do try. catch. So if we get an error, we can catch the error. Then we're gonna pass it into loop of items, which are the keys. So we're gonna say once items would be equal to. So what we're gonna be having here, we're gonna be having storage key and active key. So I'm gonna do active and storage. And actually lowercase. Then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna just add this one here, and just paste these two first. Then copy them again. So I don't have to retype again. Same thing, the same key and values, and then we're gonna take the new added values, the new added store and active engine locations in the storage, and then we're gonna say item const item of items, and in here we're just gonna say item dot storage and item dot active. For me, I just gonna need to read the error, so I don't need it actually to crash the server to show me that there is an error. I can read it in the logs. So I'm just gonna define error as a E. In here, okay. What I'm gonna be doing, because we have added the new serializer key, we passed it serializer. Here we're just gonna add the word serializer in here, and now you're gonna look for save cache and save cache next engine update and add engine. Okay, now we're gonna add another one, add method like this one, and since it's setting, if you see here we have set engine, so I will be doing the same thing. Instead I'll be setting also a serializer, so I can access it from here instead of like having a file over here. So I'll be putting a state for it. I'll put it serialization, or just serializer would be more better. Now we're gonna define our serializer as a type, which was serializer no add serializer. Since we don't have an item ID in our serializer and we don't have all of this, it's just we're gonna be setting it inside here. Just give me 1 second. Set serializer. For me, I'm just gonna put it as this, which would be a E, and over here I'm just gonna say serializer type. And active, we're gonna be adding the active serializer, which we're gonna be needing the name, which actually I'm gonna need to define also there. So I'm just gonna do serializer at the moment. Now let's go back to add. So add, we're gonna add this one here. We're gonna also call it over here. Then void, then it will pass the E, which is the serializer. It's correct, it's just missing 2 dots. Now we go down. We still miss serializer, which we need to pass, which is this one over here. So if I go down at the bottom, if I add this, error should be reduced. Now it says it's not assigned to an identify because usually it's not, should not be identified. So what I'll be doing is over here serializer, I'll be adding it as it is actually array. So if I do like this, should be working. I don't need actually to put them, but once I can start the function, we'll still pop it. So at the moment, we're gonna keep it empty since we're not actually using any. Now, add engine, and then we're gonna need to save cache. As you can see, we're gonna need to save serializer cache. So save cache serializer, which is gonna be a E over here after adding. Now a E is a serializer, so if we go over here, we're gonna need to remove this because it's not a type of array. So there's still functions. So we see right now everything is connected except one thing is this one, field location. Now for read location, I don't want to run the loop on items that actually are already there. So what I'm gonna do is constant is loaded cache. Now use state. We're gonna call it. We're gonna give the use state of boolean because okay, we can actually define it as two boolean states. But actually, we're gonna be passing here engine loaded engine, and then we're gonna say it's a type boolean and loaded. Sorry, that's the ed loaded serializer. Now, if I come over here, I should be doing serializer. You just see. So loaded engine, we're gonna state it as false, and loaded serializer, we're gonna put it false. Now we're gonna need in this function to run and say that we have loaded the cache for each. And now over here, there's still few things that they are wrong over here. So we're pressing the init and init.link and link.default and then loading. Okay. Set engine. Okay. EID. Okay. Now because we have two different, I just realized because I can't pass the two because the both are different. Now over here we get in the engine, which is the data. If data.link, I can change this to .link. But if you notice, some of the data will have IDs, which is this one, and some would not have an ID. So I'm just gonna have a quick break, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds because it's been